Welcome to Sage Audio. Today we're looking at how to mix background vocals. To get the most from your music, watch the entirety of each chapter for a complete understanding of the topic. But first, if you have a mix that you need mastered, send it to us to receive a free mastered sample of it with the link in the description. Aggressive, smooth compression. For this video, I'm going to introduce the processing step by step or as a chain, but feel free to pick and choose which tips you use when you're mixing. I'm going to start with substantial optical compression to smooth the dynamics of my vocal and make them denser later on. Although an overcompressed sound doesn't work well on the lead, on BGVs it really doesn't have a negative effect since they were recorded to be blended in. The more dynamic they are, the more they'll stick out and cause issues, so I'll get about 8 dB of compression and set a longer release, then oversample by 2x. Let's take a listen.
The sun goes down for no one. I'm starting to forget your face.
Introduce high pass and sibilance dip. Depending on the BGV, you may or may not want your fundamental, so create a high pass filter and move it up to about 200 Hz, or a little lower if you want the BGV to be more prominent in the mix. I'll also attenuate the sibilance frequencies, so about 6 to 10 kHz. You may also want to pull back on 500 Hz to make the BGV sit back in the mix. Let's take a listen to the differences that these bands make.
The sun goes down for no one. I'm starting to forget your face.
If you're enjoying the video, consider hitting the like button. It really helps us bring you more videos. Tune and double. Similar to aggressive compression, we can tune BGVs more without it being noticeable to the listener, so I'll tune the BGVs with maximum settings. This also lets you reduce the amount of tuning on the lead since the support will be more in tune. Metatune also lets me double this tuned vocal, so I'll do this now to avoid using an additional processor and to further blend these BGVs in. Let's take a listen.
The sun goes down for no one. I'm starting to forget your face.
DS heavily. If you're in control of the recording process for your BGVs, try to hold back on additional sibilance, since more than what's already present in the lead vocal isn't needed. If you're only mixing, then use heavy de-essing to reduce the sibilance as much as possible. If this isn't working, you can always use clip gain to manually reduce the volume of the sibilance. Let's take a listen.
The sun goes down for no one. I'm starting to forget your face. Find me under lights. You see what comes your way.
Only a small percentage of people that watch our videos are subscribed, so if you're enjoying the video, consider subscribing. It's free and you can always change your mind. Read time, but don't make perfect. Now that I have some processing on the BGVs that control the tune and dynamics, I'll take a listen to see if anything sounds out of place. I'll then cut any section that needs to be retimed and try to make it coincide with the lead vocal. Just be sure not to edit them too closely to the lead, since subtle time differences will cause a fuller sound. Let's take a listen. Slapback or thick reverb. Following the idea that I want my BGVs to be dense, I'm going to introduce subtle short reverb to concentrate a lot of reflections. A slapback reverb or delay may also work well here for the same reason, but it'll have a slightly different sound when it's blended in. Try multiple options until you find a short, time-based effect that works well for this purpose. Let's take a listen.
The sun goes down for no one. I'm starting to forget your face.
If you'd like our custom plugin presets, audio samples, loops, download sheets, a members-only badge next to your name in comments, and more, consider joining with the link in the description. Introduce binaural or stereo panning. For any BGVs I doubled within the Metatune plugin, I'll use regular panning to push the signal into one side or the other. But for the ones I didn't double, I might use binaural panning to add an extra dimension and depth to the BGV. This also gives you a lot more options when you're trying to find the right stereo placement and blend in the vocal. Let's take a listen to binaural panning. Bus process all BGVs. After I've added all of my processing to my individual tracks, I'm going to change the output of these tracks from the stereo output to a bus. Then I'll collectively process all of my BGVs using this bus, on which I'll add a little more compression and maybe some EQ. This way the BGVs have a collected and uniform sound, but you still have the option to tweak any individual track as needed. Let's take a listen.
The sun goes down for no one. I'm starting to forget your face.
If you have a mix that you need mastered, send it to us to receive a free mastered sample of it with the link in the description. Thank you so much for watching.